What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben and welcome back to the bench for a brand new episode here on Rivals and Adversaries. We are moving on today, guys, with our Corsair, and we've got a big day planned because we are finally going to go ahead and do a little weathering and do a little chipping. Now, last time we applied our primer, that's looking great. Now we have to come back though and start applying our paint, and we're going to start off with some Tamiya flat aluminum as our base coat. It's going to be applied over all the metal sections of the aircraft, but not the fabric covered areas like the wings and the ailerons. So once that is dry, we're going to attempt to do something that Joe kind of turned me on to, and that is a chipping method by sponging on liquid mask. Now, I don't really know how this is going to work because I've never done it before, but Joe said it works really, really well, so we're going to try it out. Once that is dry, we're going to overcoat that with some yellow zinc chromate primer by MRP, and once that is dry, we're going to overcoat that with a final coat of our scratches and chipping solution by MIG. So this is going to be very interesting to see how this turns out. I don't know how this is going to work, but we're going to give it a shot. So let's jump into that first time lapse. We're going to do some sanding, get the aircraft prepped, ready to go, then apply our silver, get all of our chipping masks on, get that yellow zinc on there, get some chipping solution on top of that, start applying the light gray, and of course that blue gray as well. So let's go ahead and jump in here, guys. Let's get this party started, see what we can do. Alright, everybody, so we are back, and as you can see, the Corsair is coming right along. We've got our blue gray and our light gray all nicely applied onto the aircraft, and I thought I should probably show you the version we're going to be trying to replicate, and that is this right here, White 13, flown by Kenneth Walsh. As you can see, it's got a very interesting paint scheme of the light gray and then a very high demarcation line for that blue gray. You don't usually see a lot of those, so that's what I want to go ahead and try to do. So we're going to jump back into that time lapse, and we're going to start applying the other color for the very top of the spine. Now, I will say in terms of paint, we've already come in, we've already applied our liquid mask, we've already applied our different colors, so I'm assuming we can also start doing some chipping once we have the last little bit of gray here on the fuselage spine. And for that, all we have to do is take a very stiff bristled brush with a little bit of water. We should be able to kind of wear ourselves down from blue gray down to zinc chromate and just start removing certain layers of paint in certain areas around the wing roots, the leading edges, the cowling, all that good stuff. And if we go ahead and chip in the same areas that have liquid mask sponged on there, we should be able to push down through that to reveal the silver. I have no idea if this is going to work, guys. I honestly have never really used chipping solutions before, but I'm hoping this works out. So let's go ahead and get back into the time lapse. Just finish off that blue-gray painting there on the fuselage. Then let's grab my brush, grab some water, and let's try some chipping and see what we can do with that. Once that is done, I want to go ahead and take some very light blue-gray, and I want to go ahead and post-shade some of the fabric areas on the wings and the ailerons, start doing some detail painting, and fingers crossed, this actually comes out and looks pretty decent. So back in there, guys, let's keep on working. Let's see what we can do. All right, everybody, so we are back and we have a painted Corsair. We have it also chipped, and I gotta tell you, that was actually a lot of fun. However, though, I will say that the liquid mask sponging didn't really work. Either I didn't put enough on, or maybe my liquid mask is old or something, I don't really know. So whatever the case may be, we have been able to achieve a nice layered effect. We do have some areas that have silver and yellow zinc chromate. We have other areas that's just zinc chromate. So I'm pretty happy with what we've been able to achieve. So now I think it's time to go ahead and start applying some of the more detail-y areas like wing walks. Now I'm really kind of surprised that neither Tamiya nor the new Birdcage Corsair set has any sort of decals for our wing walk. So we're going to have to go ahead and paint those on. To do that, I'm going to try some different dimensions of tape. I've got a 10mm piece of Tamiya tape right here, and this actually looks too big. So I'm going to have to probably go down another size. But my idea is to go ahead and mask off where the wing walk will be, then mask around that, pull up the tape and paint it so that we can have ourselves some nice painted on wing walks. Now I'm pretty sure the 10mm is way too thick, so let's go ahead and try a 6mm Tamiya. That's kind of the next size down that I've got, and that should be a little bit better. So we're gonna go ahead and pull a little piece out here, and we're gonna test fit it and see how it looks. And yeah, I like that a bit better. So I think I like the 6mm. We're going to go ahead and use that. I'm going to trim it down to size, removing that little section right in the middle where the flap kind of tucks up into the wing, because I don't think that was actually painted with a wing walk. And then we're going to go ahead and mask off, and we're going to start doing some painting. We're going to start off with a real quick layer of Tamiya NATO Black. Once that is on there, we're going to come back with some marble coats of gray and white, trying to give it a bit more interest. Once that is good, and once I like that, we're going to overcoat that with our gloss coat, just so we don't mess anything up, and then we'll be back and I'll show you else what we come up with. So far so good. Let's keep rolling. All right, everybody, so we are back, and so far so good. I've applied my gloss coat, I've added in my wing walks, and so now we're going to go ahead and add in a little bit of stenciling, because for some odd reason, the decals, neither Tamiya nor the new set, ever mention any of these stenciling marks. So we're going to have to add them in, because I found a really cool video that shows this actual airplane, White 13, and its sister planes, White 14 and White 15, landing on Munda. And at certain angles, it actually shows you that there are these very thin black lines that kind of go up and around the ammo bay and down the leading edge of the wing and then across back to the wing fold. So we're going to attempt to add those by hand. So let's go ahead and jump into the next time lapse. It's going to be a long one, guys. We have a lot to do. I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing with these as I did with the base color. We're going to add in a little bit of a chipping solution. We're going to add in some NATO Black. Then we're going to come back after it's dry. We're going to start chipping off certain parts of these lines to match what we've already chipped. I want to work on the landing gears. I want to get those painted up with some Tamiya colors. I want to add in some panel liner washes to those, really make those details pop. Of course, I want to use some sludge wash up in the wheelbase. I really want to go ahead and start working on the prop, get that all nicely finished up, and then we'll be back and I'll show you guys what we come up with. So back into that time lapse, guys. Last time lapse of the day. Let's keep it going. Let's work on that detail. And we are back, everybody. This has been a very long episode. We've done a ton of work there on the Corsair. We started off with just some basic paint. We did some chipping. We did some weathering. I like how this looks, so here we go. This is a Corsair as it stands right now, all gloss coated and ready for decal application. I've come in and I've done as much work as I possibly can do. I've added in some of the salmon color primer for different areas. I've chipped down to the silver color through the different blue gray and through the zinc chromate. I'm loving it. It's coming along. I'm pretty happy with what we've got so far. Get you a quick zoom in here and you can see some of the chipping is a little bit heavy. Some of it is a little bit light, but it's my very first time ever attempting this. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. This scratch effects by MIG works really, really well for a very tiny bit of chipping. I don't want to go too crazy. So I use that for the outline as well as for the blue gray. I did not use any chipping on the wing walks because I figured that would be made of sterner stuff, not just regular old paint. So that's going to have to be approached a little differently next episode. But otherwise, the other areas of the aircraft are worn down from blue to yellow zinc all the way down to silver. It's not 100% perfect, but we got the tail wheel in. Next episode, we can go ahead and get the prop in, get the landing gears in, maybe do some decaling. So we're getting there. We're moving right along. Now, in terms of the chipping, I'm not 100% happy with it, but honestly, this is my very first time ever trying chipping at this scale. I've never really tried this much in terms of chipping. I added in the different scratches and panels and chips and whatnot in areas I thought would have been a little bit more heavily used. Also, I've been able to look at my references and get an idea for where the chipping would have been localized, and I've tried to reproduce that as much as I could. Now, you'll notice I have a different colored panel right here. It looks a little cleaner, and it's actually by design, because in my references, I show that this panel was replaced on white 13, and it actually would have been a slightly different color and a lower demarcation line. So that looks pretty good. We've got that gray tail, which is also very unusual. We've got our tail wheel installed there, and that's looking the part. I do have to add in the doors, but so far, I think we're moving right along. The landing gears themselves, I added in a little bit of color here and there. I added in that front gear bay door right on there. I've painted up the brake lines black. So far, so good. I like how that's turned out. So next episode, we can come back and we can glue those into the aircraft and then glue on the wheels. Now, this white 13 doesn't have a whole lot of decals. In fact, it says here in the instructions that there were actually very minimal stencils on these early birdcage Corsairs. We do have that very high demarcation line. We've got that lower demarcation line in the front there with that Viva right up there on the side. I did try to give it a little bit of fading, a little bit of panel line changes in color, modulation. I don't know how well it actually comes off on camera, but I think in real life, it doesn't look too bad. Now, I'm actually going off of a reference photo right here. You can see, we can zoom in. This is the actual aircraft, and we can tell there's not a lot of chips on it, but there are enough to go ahead and kind of jump out at you. We've got that very high demarcation line, as you can see here. Fuel staining around from that filler cap. We've got our Viva right up here in the front, and you'll notice the lower demarcation line on that panel and the higher demarcation line on the fuselage side. So I'm pretty sure that works well here. We've got it up here as well, as you can see. Drops down lower for that cowling panel and then back up to the very front of the cowling. So I think we're pretty happy with that, but we are going to go ahead and try to add in as much staining as we can. But anyway, guys, we are all finished up for today. Thank you so much for joining us. As you can see, the Corsair is looking a little bit more like a Corsair. We've got our blues, our grays, our chipping on there. We've got our wing walks, our primer. So I think we are in a good position for next episode. We can come on back. We can apply the decals, do a bit more fading, a little bit more weathering, and then hopefully get this thing wrapped up so we can move on to the Zero. Until our next episode, you guys know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool. Make sure to drop on by Joe's channel. I'm pretty sure he's finished or almost close to finished with his Zero. So make sure to go check out his videos. Yes, looking beautiful. And we'll see you back here on episode number 8 for Rivals and Adversaries and our F4U-1 Corsair. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon.